Okay, the meeting of the Salem County Improvement Authority to come to order is Monday, June 24th, 5 p.m. We're located at the lower level of the Finland building. We'll stand, salute the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the lower level, which we named it the lower level all the way around. It's still in the elevator. It says basement. You gotta get that level there. They have them. Still up over there, probably plus $50. Okay. Open public meeting statement. Notice this meeting has been provided to the public in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act by publication in the South Jersey Times, formerly today's Sunbeam, the Elmer Times newspaper circulated in Salem County, by posting notice to the Salem County Clerk's Office. Copies of the board minutes and video of this meeting are posted on SCIANJ.com. Is it .com or .org?
Ours is .com, the website. .org is our email addresses.
That's why all right. Thank you. Roll call.
John Eber,
Here.
Pete Burrows,
Here.
Lou Schneider,
Here.
Bob Whitfield.
Here.
Okay, minutes, tab 1. We have the minutes of only the last meeting, right?
Regular meeting, May 20th, yes.
Yeah, that's right. It's anyway. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion approved. Second.
Moving second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Moving second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Minutes, regular meeting, okay. Solid Waste Division, manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. I submitted for your review the charts, but I'm going to read it off of my monthly report because I wanted to tell you that landfill revenue tonnage is up. This past month, we're looking at May, was 481,429.81 compared to last year, the same time, which was 344,448.55. So that's a good thing. Leachate is also up. We're not going to look at that chart. If we have record rain, we don't even want to know, right? What was it?
8.65.
8.65 in the month of June, which is our driest month. Ugh. Yeah, so leachate is up.
Historically, June's our driest month?
Yeah, June and July.
Not long? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's up for June, but it shows down in May.
Yeah,
Yeah, these are
yeah.
reports
So
for May.
yeah, this is
I
May.
want to know
But I always have to bring
year-to-date, I
it.
only go on year-to-dates.
That's what gets confusing, is I'm reporting statistical things for May, but really we have to talk about June too.
Well, if you had whipped that up and gotten the data for June.
Sure, yeah, before I could do it, but yeah, no problem. So we are gonna have some higher bills for leachate hauling and disposal for the month of June, right? And one other thing I'd like to point out is the govdeals.com. We put the equipment on the govdeals.com and we liquidated almost every item except for 2. One item, the buyer did not respond within the 5 days of the time limit to purchase it, so that is going back on auction. So we've made approximately $136,000 on the liquidation of the equipment, which is a good thing. We learned a valuable lesson, did we not? We are not going to put on more than 2 pieces of equipment at a time because they all call and they have more questions than what is listed on the description of the equipment. So we're only going to list 2 pieces at once. We're not going to have them end at the same time, and they're not going to be able to pick them up at the same time because that was really awful. There's way too much going on. But it's other than that, it's a really user-friendly thing, and I'm really glad that we got involved in it.
Now, what do you have remaining?
We have the SSI shredder, we have the 826C, which is the oldest compactor, and we have one other item that, oh, the S-Tech, which is what the buyer didn't buy by the 5-day period, so that's going back on too.
What's that compactor weigh?
The 826C?
76,000.
So what's the worth of scrap, I guess, is the question.
We put it back on for $4,000, and it's already up to $4,500. It's on until
Well,
Wednesday,
you
Thursday.
scrap it for more than that.
I don't think so.
That,
No, by the time you haul it there,
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
you gotta haul it there.
you gotta look at that though, because a lot of times you,
How much was the piece that they didn't respond in the 5 days? How much was that?
The S-Tech,
How much
we
was that?
set the reserve bid at 50,000,
And he was there?
and he bid 50,000, yeah. Yep,
What is the S-Tech?
it's a screener that we used to use
Oh,
on,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
for
excellent.
soil. Mhm. Any questions on the charts or the statistical report or my manager's report?
Now, on your vertical expansion, last month you had, it was 150 feet above cells 1 and 2. It's rotating around or something?
No, it goes across the top. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
So we're moving across the top,
So now you're 150 above 4 and 5.
about approximately, give or take. Mhm.
And there was something about the leachate study and Salem has to dispose of their sludge at Delcora.
They got permission to dispose of the sludge at Delcora because it can't be land applied.
They were not paying for that.
No.
And the money from gov deals goes in the general revenue, I guess?
That's where it's initially deposited, yes. We anticipated it in a particular line item of revenue called equipment sales.
So the expenses will go up correspondingly?
No, the revenue,
Will the expenses go up correspondingly?
not necessarily.
Okay.
We budgeted about $110,000, so we received $136,000 in revenue, which is more than.
Yeah, we're not done yet. We're not complete yet, so.
Did you want to mention the new inspector? we have?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'd love to mention our lovely new landfill inspector. Michael Hansen showed up on the 11th and was there for 4 hours. He doesn't like anything he sees. He gave me 20 items that he wants corrected before he comes back, and 5 or 6 things he wanted me to send to him. We're working on those corrections, and some of those things we are gonna discuss with his supervisor. He does not want to come on site and wear a visitor's badge, and he doesn't want to check in, so that's gonna be the first problem. The other things are things that we should be maintaining, like the perimeter road, and I have a big list of things that I can give them, or give you if you'd like. But they are maintenance items that we need to be doing and keeping up with, but we don't have the manpower to do a lot of them, like cutting the side slopes. He wants all the side slopes cut. And
Much more
sometimes it's really hard to do that when you have a lot of
Grass,
rain.
frequent. Much more frequent.
The weather's not gonna do it.
No, but he doesn't
The
care.
roads and the grass.
Okay. So I have a really nice list of everything he wants fixed.
some beauties in the eyes of the beholder.
So this
We
is
like
a new
it,
guy,
so
you
good.
said?
New guy.
And how long has the other guy been with you?
Well, the first guy was there forever, and he retired, and the second guy came on board, that was, Irv Gandy, and he was good, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was there for maybe, I don't know, 3 inspections. Now, this gentleman said he'll be there every 30 days, he will not tell me when he's coming, and he would rather not talk to me, he would like to talk to Lynn. No problem.
Is he a young kid?
Well, wait a minute.
No,
Let's, now, he says that he don't wanna check in and he doesn't wanna wear a badge.
definitely doesn't want to wear a visitor's badge. I said, well, you have to check in because that's our safety procedure. We need to know you're on site. If we have an evacuation and you're on site and we don't know it, that could be
Yeah.
serious, very serious.
Or police are practicing
The
target
visitor's
practice.
badge, okay, so he has a phobia about visitor's badge. All right, no problem.
Well, wait a minute, no,
We
I don't have a
had this
problem
for
with that.
discussion at the solid waste.
Yeah,
committee.
we'll
We
talk
need to go
about it
over
in
things
committee
because
because
there
it's a
is
little detailed. It goes on and on
some
and
things
on.
that need to go to a supervisor.
And the
well,
supervisor.
right, I think we should get, what he wants, if he's right, he's right. But if he's wrong, then we gotta take it to where we gotta take it. And,
So let's
He
pass
has
over.
he has to follow the rules of the facility.
Yep. Let's pass over Mr. Hanson, and we were supposed to have our air inspector, Donna Summers, come Wednesday. She had to postpone because she was called into another meeting. And Friday, Dave Stewart, our groundwater stormwater inspector, came. And he was there for a little over 2 hours. So this has been 2 weeks of inspections. Loving it. Loving it.
yeah. I don't think we're gonna let it go by. I mean, we don't wanna pick any fights, but.
No, I'm not gonna pick a fight with him because he likes to fight. So he has all the southern landfills, he has all the transfer stations, Class C, Class B. These people are overwhelmed with the amount of inspections they have to do. So I basically just wrote down everything he said, And I said, okay, anything else negative you'd like to say? How about some positive? And he gave me like 10 positive things. Yeah. And I've sent him everything he's requested, which were reports of certain materials.
I'm so stomach.
It's okay.
Probably have a gallbladder attack.
Wow, oh, I hope not. We don't want that. So we're dealing with it. We're dealing with it. Each person has their own personality. You just have to learn what that personality is. That's all.
He's holding all the cards.
And
Well, he's the new
Oh.
sheriff in town, and if you don't do
No,
what the
they're
sheriff
all
wants, you're going to jail.
He's
And
holding,
I get
he's
it.
holding some of the cards.
I get
He
it.
thinks he's holding it.
But-
He's-
I also did, there were, out of those 20 things, there was 2 discussion items that I won on. So there are times, and I pick and choose which those discussion items might be. So I'm not going
I think you did a good
to
job.
choose everyone. Yeah, I'm not going to choose all of
Good
them.
thing it was you, not me.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll see how Lenny does. When he comes next month, he gets Lenny.
we
So
are in
we'll
touch
check
with
it
some
out.
other entities that have had to deal with him in the past, and the most appropriate way to deal with him, what works and what doesn't, so
Yeah.
there was some inside
Fighting with him
intelligence.
is not the way to do it. No, because you're not going to win. So I was just, feeling him out. First visit, loved it. Any other questions on anything that you read or the charts or anything?
One,
Yes,
doing a
sir.
great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order the report received, filed.
Thank
Hearing
you.
no objections, so ordered. Next item here is the engineer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe the board has our report from June 6th. The only thing to update really is the leachate storage tank. Those documents have been reviewed. We have addressed a few comments from the authority, and they are pretty much ready to go out to bid. Will be advertised in the next, within the next week at least, if not sooner.
How do we manage through this deluge with the leachate?
I don't know yet, because I was in Aruba while it was raining, so.
We had extra loads go out every day and overtime for a scale master in the scale house every day.
How many loads a day is it
22 was the maximum we got out.
in one day?
Yeah, and that was 2 or 3 days out of last week. We got 19 today, and someone's staying till 6 to get extra loads. Yeah, because if we don't, the high tank alarm goes off and we need to
Right.
tank. Yeah, not good.
But it'll be interesting to compare this month's data with some high months from the past few years.
Well, that's,
Because I know we've had a few months
so
in
you,
the past 3
you
or 4 years.
know where I'm
yeah,
going.
where we've had a lot of rain.
2009,
And see,
2011,
yeah,
2013.
yeah. It's like odd years, it seems like.
Okay,
So is any
any questions?
One about the closure plan, the July
Yeah.
13th is the last year, I guess, right?
Yes, that was last year. Took them almost a year to get it back, which is
And
typical.
We're establishing an escrow account.
Well, we're going to talk.
They've asked for an alternate.
They've asked for an alternative fund escrow account, which the authorities take an issue with, because they're really not entitled to it under the regulations.
Okay, any other questions?
My condolences, Melinda. I've been dealing with my cancer for 30 years.
So you,
So you know what I'm going through.
I absolutely do.
I love the man.
where's he from?
Huh?
Where's he from? Where do you live?
Oh, I don't know where he lives.
Remember on tape.
I could probably find out if you really want to know.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order the report received and filed. Hearing no objection, so ordered. Next item, authorizing transfer of funds. Now, these are transfers not required by law, required by our internal rules. And as we well know, we've had this rule for several years, or 3 or 4 years since we had our problems a number of years ago. So could you give us a
Sure.
few seconds?
We
on
have
this?
a request for 2 transfers. One is telecommunications. We significantly under budgeted that line item, anticipated a significant savings when we rolled over to Sprint last year. And after the first 6 months, we're seeing some savings from Sprint, but not the deep savings that we anticipated seeing on that. Although we are very closely looking at our bills, looking at our data usage, and looking at how we might be able to further reduce those expenses through, solid waste division cell phones. The office supplies, again, we are in the process of doing our records retention project, and our request there is to replenish the fund for office supplies. We did not fully budget for enough of the banker's boxes to store all the records that we've generated over the course of the year. So we'd like to replenish that. Both of those transfers are in the amount of $5,000. All are coming out of a marketing and sales line item, which to date has not been touched at all.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Move second. Any question on the motion?
And what's the
Second.
number of the resolution?
36.
36. Move to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Economic Development Report.
South-based building.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hello. Yeah, let me get to that. How about that? Okay, we have bills amounting to $193,946.71. Electronic payments, and Debbie's going to give us a little update on this, $138,629.35. First, I'll entertain a motion
I'll
to
make
approve
that
these
motion.
bills. Move. Second.
I'll second.
Okay, Debbie, yes, a little clarification on this.
Yeah, on the electronic payments, the reason that amount is so high for this particular month is it contains January through June's electronic transfers for our solid waste division taxes, our quarterly recycling tax, and our host community benefit. When we rolled over the accounting system in February, those payments, although they were going directly to the state, are not being picked up on our reporting system. We found that through an internal account and audit of our systems. So we're going back and putting them back on the bill list. They are paid on time, there are no penalties being paid, and the coding of that particular vendor, which is an online-only payment, is now appearing into our monthly reports for Edmonds, but they have not appeared on the January through May bill list, so we're putting them on for your approval.
And they're state government agencies.
Only state government agencies.
We have no electronic payments to other than governmental agencies, is that correct?
That is not correct. You have a workers' comp that goes to a private vendor
Okay.
bill, and you also have your dental premium.
Right, okay.
What is the 3249, it's the treasurer state of New Jersey, would that be electronic also?
Yes. Yeah, you
But
have,
it's on the bill list?
yeah,
for the-
you have a
for
health
the
benefit
check.
payment, which is being picked up by the bill list, but the SLT tax, the recycling tax, and the host community was not.
Okay.
So they're going to different agencies. Each agency has its own.
Okay, they're not all electronic?
They are.
In other words,
They
the
are.
payments were made, but they weren't reported through the Edmunds system. So we didn't get the notice every month.
It's just, there's a check listing, that's all.
Oh, there's a few fees, I'm sorry, there's a
That's
few fees that
19,000.
we still pay by check.
A lot of
Because-
solid waste division
Like
things
our-
have to be paid for the check, right?
Yeah. Your permit fees and your inspection fees,
No
believe it or not.
penalties.
No, still get paid by check.
You pay penalties by check?
Depends
Is that
on
what you
what
said?
it is. No, I said you're paying your fees and your permits by check.
And there were no,
There are
we
no
weren't
penalties.
late, there
No.
were no penalties.
These are all being paid on time.
There was some kind of discussion about a penalty that's being negotiated, I didn't know if that was,
That's October of 11, no, we've not paid that yet.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, we have questions, any other questions on the bills? Moving second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so bid. Now we go to Economic Development Division Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll have my written report there. We do have a couple of meetings. I have a strategic plan focus group meeting with our consultant Phil Rowan this Wednesday, and basically to update the PowerPoint presentation for the strategic plan focus group meetings we will be having. They're scheduled for the 11th of July, 18th, and the 23rd, 3 different locations. All that is attached. The agenda is attached, as the everything, the letter that was sent to the businesses, it was personalized to the business people. So we are getting some response. We should have a little bit more, but vacation time, so we have people still getting back to us. So we have 2 meetings pretty well set right now. So we'll be doing that to Creekside and Sam City Cafe,
Cafe.
yeah, and then we'll go back to Dodge's Market, New Dodge's Market for that. The regional transportation, we did receive some financial information from the owner on that, from his attorney. Debbie and I will be meeting with him, and Phil, you'll probably be meeting with us too at the end of the month on the regional transportation project. New Jersey American Water, I don't know where that is yet. I did put a call in for John, but we're just playing telephone tag right now. Energy program is basically, that's future discussions to be held with the freeholder liaison. That's on the cogen project that was presented to the freeholder board at that one meeting we had with them. Select Greater Philadelphia answered an inquiry on what they call Project Columbus. They just named these projects, and they're for site selections in an 11-county region. Select Greater Philadelphia, it sends it out. That's for 100,000 square foot building right now, expandable to 200,000, anywhere from 9 to 10, 15 acres right now. So we sent the selections out. They responded to me, and they were delighted that we said our site selections. Our site selections, what we do is send it out. It would be Gateway Park, the business complex over in Carney's Point, and a few other, the old DOD building in Pedricktown, not the building, the land parcel up there, and a few other sites that we've compiled, which I've had the interns compiling quite a bit of real estate for us. Anything with sites. Debbie and I met with a fellow today on some other sites that he has, a developer. As a matter of fact, I had a phone message here when I got back this afternoon from a fellow from Camden County somewhere wanted to know some information about a site down here. And also, he said he heard the Improvement Authority is the place to go to find out. So I haven't called him back yet. But the interns, you know, we've had them compiling. We have all the Salem County brownfield sites all set right now, farmland preservation sites. We reviewed the open space plan and updating of the Salem County business listing, and they're all being posted on the website. So.
The maps?
And the maps?
Yeah, the maps are being done.
The maps we did get, we did receive
County
2 maps
planning
from the what do you call it, the farmland preservation and also the,
County planning board.
yes, we got those completed, Matt completed them for us, so. With some legends on it too, so. And you can see, and that's pretty much my report. Any questions?
Any questions of the manager? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order the report received and filed. Hearing no objection, so ordered. Next item.
Thank you.
Nursing, nope, bills. Always bills. Can we just forget that? Okay, there's bills totaling $7,206.65. Entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
Second.
Moving second, was that 30? 38. Moving second, any questions on the motion? Hearing none, moving second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Okay, that's that. The executive, hold on, nursing home, I'm sorry, the nursing home division bills. Maybe you want to give us 2 seconds?
We've only had very limited activity at the nursing home. This single bill is for the state of New Jersey. This is for the state health benefits payment for the retirees of the nursing home.
That's the one reimbursed by the county. Is that coming in on time?
It is coming in, not before the bills need to be paid, but yes, it's coming in before the end of the month.
Any late fees?
No, we're paying it on time. We get reimbursed before the end of the month by the county.
No.
We're putting money out, yeah.
Motion approved.
Moved.
Second.
Moving second. Any questions on the motion? Moving second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Is
Okay.
there any communication from Mrs. Coleman or does she realize our,
Yeah.
what she said?
Paid at the freeholder's second meeting of the month, which is always after the bill's paid. Bill's got to be paid by the 10th of every month. We get the bill by the 1st of the month and send it over to them. It's basically the same amount every month, but they pay it on the 3rd meeting, or the 2nd meeting of the month, so. I think it's a timing issue with them and their bill list.
A little bit of interest there. The end of the year, 12 cents. All right, what's next? Okay, standing committee, executive committee report. We met today with the auditor for the exit report. I can say, by the way, we have to prepare that for the whole board for next meeting. And there were no findings. There were 10 or 12 discussion points, very minor. There were no findings at all, which is a record for this authority. And going back to the SCIA authority, the auditor happened to mention that. This is the first time in his memory that there were no findings, no recommendations, or just discussion items. Debbie's going to have that report. You just handed it to us. He's going to have that report sent out to you folks. Be ready to review it at the next meeting. Then we'll have to sign, obviously, that we reviewed it. I asked Debbie, it's not required to have a corrective action report. If you have findings, it requires you to have a corrective action report. On the discussion items, I asked Debbie to prepare a corrective action for those minor items. Some are, tell me a couple of them. For example, very minor.
Oh, the discussion items?
Yeah.
One of the discussion items was that we needed to make sure that the certification of funds were done on the professional service contracts with a specific statement that they wanted done. We do all the fair and open processing, the certification of funds, but they really want that a statement on those certifications documents that say in accordance with the budget appropriation. So we put the boilerplate wording on all the certifications.
I mean, they're the kind of things that these are.
So last year when we had the meeting over here at the courthouse, and when you stood up and said, we will have a good audit next year, there won't be any findings, that seems to be the case. Okay. And findings is what they were dealing with last year, they had problems with.
Correct.
2 findings.
Freeholders had problems with certain findings, right? Okay.
I don't remember.
What was
I
the,
don't remember much, but there's certainly.
what was the delay with the audit?
The delay,
Yes.
we're just scheduling the exit conference now.
No, matter of fact, I asked the question, we're like ahead of everybody. County's not done, for example.
Well,
I know
county's
they
not
like-
authority.
No, but they
Authorities have a deadline 4 months after the first of the year.
And the
Well-
work was completed by then, but they're just wrapping it up.
And we
now.
did a raise 2 months ago because we had good recommendations. You know, so it was done 2 months ago to get the raises,
The preliminary draft was done,
the recommendations.
but the report was actually presented today to the exit conference.
when is the,
They usually try and wrap it up,
what's the statute say, or what was the regulation?
4 months.
it's been 4 months,
So that would be April 30th,
April.
May 1st. So it was done.
But obviously this
No,
board still
April
has to
30th.
take its action. You have to put it on the
It's
agenda.
presented to when it's presented to the board within 4 months. And
April 30th, or May 1st.
A couple months ago. And it was presented today?
Yeah.
So
Well-
I'm asking why it's a couple months late.
I mean,
The
ask
auditors
them-
just
we'll
got-
we'll ask them that.
We'll ask them, but the auditors just got the draft done.
It's a good question, you know. I know that it's a hell of a sight earlier this year than has been past years, I know that much.
I mean, they would certainly be aware of the deadline, right?
Huh? Yeah, do you think,
They usually go by July 1st to have everything posted. There's a statutory limit.
that's a
to
good
complete the
question.
audit.
Now we gotta find out is how many authorities met that deadline. And they go, be interesting to see. I didn't realize,
Yeah, there's some,
Yeah, they have to
I
have,
think
they have to
about-
have it completed.
I think about municipal,
the law states there's some penalties involved if you're beyond that, but.
And we don't
Interesting.
have any penalties.
Okay.
Submitted.
so, that'll be handed out, I guess, tonight, or gotta reproduce it, or,
No, Dave's sending it over electronically.
okay.
You saw the written copy, so he's producing electronically. It'll be out to you guys by the end of the week. PDF form.
And that was executive committee?
Yes,
Who's on that?
me and Ron, but Ron didn't come, so Pete filled in his next seniority man. Yeah, it was matter of fact, almost a pleasure to go through it, as opposed to previous years. I have a set of, I mentioned a set of emails, volume ones over the past 5 years. Bring them up, maybe they can show everybody. But anyway, it turned out good, and something will be,
Something to be proud of, and
Yeah, right.
thank you for you and your staff
Staff?
picking everything up, and again, you guys did a wonderful job.
yeah, from leaps and bounds from.
Especially since the target's always moving, the state's changing stuff, and what they want, what they don't
Still
want,
is.
and
Okay, we're trying to get together the Alloway Township about the host community benefits program, and what are they saying lately?
Well, what they've said is, what we've said to them is we're not interested in changing the host community benefit plan structure itself, but that we're still willing to discuss working with them on relocation of their convenience center, which has a very significant financial implication with them. And
But they want Sunday opening. They want to be open on Sunday? Is that-
that's probably back in play again. Depends on who
I
you
think
talk to.
what happened is.
I don't mean for us, I mean for them. They're interested, they're willing to take that off the table.
They just took bids on their transfer, and they came in double what they were last year. So that means, might force them to rethink their, the main holdup was the Sunday opening. And they said that the public demands that Sunday opening. You know, I said.
At a cost.
Even saving, $75,000, and he said, yeah, whatever. Yeah, they're the boss. Yeah. But apparently, they're rethinking that Sunday thing. All right, so that's that. So we're trying to get them back. Well, I guess they're going to respond. I guess that's the next step.
Yeah,
They're rethinking and come back with a counter proposal, I guess. Okay, Personnel Committee.
We did meet on June 7th. Ron and Bob joined us. We talked about the landfill supervisor's position, went over the position description as drafted, and made some significant amendments to that position description. Casey does have that finalized. We will get that out to the full board. It will be advertised the first week of July. And we decided that, obviously we'll advertise it in our local paper, but that's probably not the target audience where we're gonna find the suitable individual for this job. So we're gonna go to SWAC the solid waste committees. We're gonna go to the improvement authorities, the landfill associations, and send it out to affiliate groups that probably have someone with these qualifications. We know that Lynn is gonna be an extremely hard person to follow in his footsteps. We certainly are gonna open it up to everybody inside our organization as well. And we did have some discussion about, strengths and weaknesses, and the fact that we are probably not going to find that person that is an identical fit for Lynn. So there'll be some training needs or some, business decisions we'll have to make when we see the pool of candidates that we get. We are gonna leave it posted for about 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks, because that's gonna be a good period of time to get that out.
Well, the board has not approved the qualification of
You approved us to move forward on the filling of the position,
right, but the
Pending.
specification for the job.
pending the committee's outcome.
I didn't
I'll
understand
look at the
that.
last minutes, but I think
Yeah.
you said as long as it went back to personnel to review. I'll
I'd
look at the minutes.
like to see a copy of it
Yeah,
anyway.
we'll send
you know
it,
what I
Casey
mean?
will send it out to you.
so your suggestion that you might need 2 people to replace Superman.
Didn't say that, I just said we're gonna have to, he's been with us 25 years, he's been there since the day it opened, and you're not gonna find somebody with that kind of knowledge about that type of facility. Will we find somebody that has maybe landfill experience, or public works experience, or solid waste experience? Most likely. But if they come from outside organization, we know they're gonna need, a lot of time with Lynn to learn the quirks of our facility, which are gonna be vastly different than most others.
Once you get this amount of certification, you're getting someone that has a lot of experience usually.
Yeah. Might need an attitude adjustment. No, it's difficult. No, it's difficult for a lot of people who don't want to get their hands dirty. You know what I mean? You get down in the mud and all that. that's where you're gonna have the problem. Somebody that's has the knowledge and the wherewithal or the attitude to, you know, get their pants stuck.
We need a hands-on
I'll
person.
have Casey send it out to everybody if you would just reply back by email if you have any other changes. Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the personnel matters? Economic Development Committee meeting, I guess the only thing we have to bring up there is there's some activity which we reported last meeting at the Gateway facility. And as our manager reported, there's some inquiries, so I know for a fact that the market is heating up for space in exit 10 Industrial Park, what we call Logan Township. So that's not 100% full, but it's close to full. And I think ours is the next step, so as long as the economy keeps firing on, I think we might be seeing some activity. There's a definite inquiry. You know, we've signed an agreement of non-disclosure, still in the infancy. We don't want to scare it away, but there could be some activity there. So that's it.
And who's on that committee?
To tell you the truth, there is nobody on the committee. We got to get that filled. I've been serving on it. But, maybe we should, before the meeting's over, get that committee filled. Solid Waste Committee, Pete?
Everything's running rough with the rain, that's taking up a lot of time, they're making a mess. Salem City wants to talk to us about maybe reestablishing, bringing the stuff over. But we probably want to make sure that we're going to have guidelines to protect us in case what happened last time doesn't happen again, because that was painful. And we're going to be looking for more cooperation from their soil and water department this time. And the mayor knows about it, and he's on board. So it's going to save them money. It's going to be good for us. We're going to look into that again. We got some new equipment coming in. We're baling out there. We got the baler doing the plastics. Everything's going along pretty good. We had our haulers quarterly meeting, and that was interesting. It's good to get all the haulers in there and listen to their co-problems that they have or issues that they want to talk about. And it's nice to see the competitiveness too of people on the wall. So it's a good dinner.
What's that now? What did you just say?
The competitiveness of the
Oh,
whole.
between them,
Yeah.
but it's very low key.
Oh, absolutely. They all
Under-
respect each
yeah.
other and enjoy each other's company.
They go out and stick pins into the guy's
No,
dollar.
no, just don't step on their turf.
Something like one comment.
Different than it used to be.
What'd you get, a new truck? And he goes, no, I waxed it. Well, he did get a new truck, but he didn't want to say it.
That was Solid Waste Committee?
Pardon?
That was Solid Waste Committee? Who's on that? You and,
That's it. Yeah, we, in the past, we've never had more than one person on the committee because,
okay, that's not the landfill committee though?
yeah,
Someplace like this.
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, we
It's when you've got the
There's an
agenda for
agenda
them.
for a landfill committee.
It's the same.
It's the same one.
It says attendees sign in, all signed in. I didn't know who was there.
Yeah. Okay, innovation technology.
Well, we had a meeting June 19th. Unfortunately, something came up for me and trumped my ability to be there. I did talk to Debbie thereafter, and Debbie, I would defer to you, and you were there and all
Yeah,
that. So.
sure. From Help Desk Desktop Support, PC Network's been doing a great job for us. Most of the work that they're able to do is remotely through any call-in service. We did need them to come out one day, and in the interest of disclosure, it was because the county uploaded some new software that they didn't think was going to affect us, but it did. We traced it down and got it reconciled, but that caused us about a week and a half of a painful delay in our email send receive features. It was working, but not routinely. So it'll be good to break away from that. On our network construction project is moving along very nicely. All of our equipment has now been received as of Friday. The racking systems have been built out both at the solid waste division and here at our building. And all of the low voltage cabling is done, the electrical work is done, the bonding is being done right now. And we expect to be testing, as long as everything goes well, the week of July 4th and 5th, with an anticipation cutover shortly thereafter. We will be advising the county of our timeline on that. We have been in communication with the county college about antenna placement on both of the facilities, and we expect that to take place this week because we've got good weather. And everything, knock wood, is going along very smoothly. So we'll be hopefully wrapping that up before our next meeting.
I have two questions. Who's our major new customers using the bank cards? Who's that?
Let,
Yanuzi,
Unuzi.
Who?
Yanuzi,
All right.
Who's that?
Yanuzi,
Unuzi is the name of the company.
Y-A-N-N-U-Z-I.
I use it.
Yeah, who's the third?
50 bucks, man.
You're not the high, large customer though.
Here's my,
You're not the high, large customer. Yanuzi is.
50 bucks is,
He's charging a lot more than $50.
my other question is, obviously the county told us March 31st will be off. County continued to invoice us for April and May. Expired, we cannot pay for these services as the county advised us they would not renew or continue the agreement beyond 3/31. Have we used their services at all since 3/31?
We have had information on their network, but we have not had any responsiveness from their help desk or anything like that. So no.
So are we?
what's the question?
They chose not to extend the shared service agreement to us. We requested that they do so. They chose not to extend it, and without a signed agreement, I cannot pay them. But no, they've ceased actively supporting our network as of March 31st.
Okay. So come March 31st, after that point, we didn't call for any help or use it?
We advised them that PC Network was coming over and they needed to open up the room so PC Network could reset the servers. So yes, they actually went down and opened up the room.
All right. So without an agreement, they can't be paid or something?
Correct.
Oh, that's a fact.
It's a contract issue.
Yeah.
If they choose to revisit that, we're happy to discuss that with them.
We got a bill to have, right?
But I can
for,
say the $3,800 bill is not the services bill.
So where's this, is this
A
submarine?
month.
Come on, $3,800.
We have a shared service agreement with them, yeah.
No. You're reading from
Yeah,
a,
that's here, that's in the,
in the report?
yeah, it was in the agenda.
Okay.
Who's getting the bill for when they put that program in, that's what's up.
We-
Yes, sir.
Looking back up to the landfill committee agenda, there's the revenue enhancement. The SCIA offered to buy out cell tower lease.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're evaluating that. SBA is the new owner of the towers of last year. They transferred it from Monarch Towers. I would say maybe about 3 months after they took ownership, they gave us an initial offer to buy out the lease, which is right now just a monthly payment to us. Quite frankly, the first valuation was very low. Everybody's trying to buy these out. And we declined that opportunity. They came back now and have a counter offer to buy out the remaining lease on the cell tower for $220,000. So that'll be back on the agenda for us to review at the next committee meeting, because that's a substantially significant increase over their prior offer, and is probably more in line of what that is. And it's a matter of cash in hand versus cash, every month coming in as revenue.
Choose to look at the value,
What's
the
that
value
revenue
of it.
value?
I'm sorry?
What's the monthly rate?
I'll have to look at it.
1,400, isn't it?
It's- No, not for that tower.
And then there's one other issue that 10 years from now, they might not even need these things, so we could take the money and,
Shannon's already will not,
yeah.
They're doing an awful lot of
I
work on
thought
it
that
right now.
was, wasn't that $11,000,
Oh,
$12,000?
look, I don't think it's
Take a long
1,200.
while to get to $220,000.
Not 1,400, look that. I'll look. I'll let you know.
Whatever, well, we'll get that when we analyze it.
But it's a plausible opportunity we would bring back to the board, and looking at that for probably, later this year or early next year. That's it.
Okay, where are we at? Innovation technology, that's done. Executive Director's report. That's behind tab, what?
Tab 7, or 6, sorry, tab 6.
There you go. There we go, okay, here we go.
You've got my reports, a couple things I'll highlight, the nursing home division, there's been no significant change over last month's report on the nursing home division, with the exception of one of the Medicaid remittances from September 19th of 2012 did receive a credit. This is still working its way through our wonderful federal government. So we were able to reduce just by several tens of dollars the total amount that audit still shows. Basically, the split is now, I'll just refresh your memory, was about $270,000 that was needing to be reconciled between us and Golden. It's down to $133,083.83. The split between what would be prior to our ownership in August of 2009 versus August of 2009 when we owned it would be about $41,787.65 for the county. An additional $5,064.72, which we would recommend splitting 50-50 between the month of August, because it was August 15th when the facility transferred. And so the county would owe $89,581.82. We would owe $44,320.01. We have not received further communication from Golden regarding the demand for this payment. We have been keeping them in the loop relative to these ongoing remittances as they get done every month as well. So we'll be reaching out to them in the month of July just to see where they are with this situation. But it would not be my recommendation to cut anybody any check or bill anybody anything at this point in time until we are certain that all of those remittances have gone through reconciliation with Medicaid. As I reported, the July invoice for state health benefits will be coming due July 10th. That will be pulled off of our electronic system on July 1st, and we'll be sending that over to the freeholder board. We do have 2 outstanding invoices that we sent a second notice over to the freeholder board. The first is for the 2013 lease for the Salem County Correctional Facility lease in the amount of $20,000 that was due June 1st. And the second is the debt service payment for the Series 2008 Correctional Facility Courthouse Index project refunding in the amount of $91,475. That is one that the debt service payment has always been billed to the Improvement Authority and then refunded back through the county. Going forward, I was in touch with U.S. Bank, and because we are the bonding agent and the county is the trustee, and we also talked with Katie on this one, they will be inclined in 2014 going forward to bill the trustee directly for that. But in the prior year, it was always billed through us. Oh, that should be fun. Okay. Daily operations, you've had ample report from Melinda. Just to let you know, we do have the Dexy chopper on hand. The Ford F pickup trucks have been ordered, they're not here yet. You do have tonight a resolution for the award of a contract for 1 John Deere loader, the analytical laboratory testing and roll-off container hauling. And we're going to ask for a scope of work approval for groundwater well installations as well. On the regulatory end, we've continued communication with the DEP on our civil administrative penalty from October of 2011. We have been working to identify air pollution areas within Salem County that we might be able to effectively remediate in lieu of that penalty. And I think we're coming close to a project that we will bring back to this board for resolution. There will still be a penalty feature to that, but they may offset some of those fines with another project that they are in favor of. As Jim said, we've been very busy working in economic development. The refunding of the bond for the County of Salem, we did receive a consent approval from the local finance board on June 12th. We did also participate last Thursday in a conference call with Standard & Poor's regarding the rating of the counties, their rating, and that has had to be rescheduled again for this Thursday. There was some additional information that Standard & Poor's requires of the county before they're able to give that rating. That may very well push our bonding date back. We're going to do this the second week of July, right after the 4th of July week. The market is softening, so we are still trying to move as expeditiously as possible on this, but the ball's really in the county's court right now in that rating. At their direction, we deferred the rating away from Moody's and to Standard & Poor's. so they've got some issues to clean up that we hope will be taken care of this Thursday. So that target date for the week of July 8th is very likely to move.
And if they snooze, they lose.
Well, with the market softening every day,
Big money.
as we saw last Friday, counts. We talked about the audit, human resources, Improvement Authority Association met on Friday with the New Jersey Association of Counties to discuss collaboration in the lobbying efforts. There's some various bills going through relative to tax exempt financing. One that you have here by way of a resolution opposing the source separation, consolidation bills. And with the exception of one improvement authority in the state, no one else has any solicitor or anyone that's working on staff with them to do any kind of lobbying on these issues. So we just met with New Jersey State Association of Counties, who already has a very active lobbying effort on behalf of the counties to determine if there's an alliance there that we can forge, and they're very interested in pursuing that, all with no additional cost to us, because the counties that are members already are paying for their membership. Website information is being updated on a more frequent than monthly basis. It is compliant, but we are making some enhancements to make it more user-friendly. Our interns are doing a great job telling us about social media and website usage. We did have one OPA request that we fulfilled since the last meeting, and you have a list of upcoming events and dates there. Our next board meeting is July 22nd. Any questions?
Yes, on the regulatory solid waste division. The SWAC meeting, what was your read of the SWAC meeting?
SWAC meeting is what it was. It was, very interesting to have everyone participate, which was awesome. I got a good sense that they're generally not in favor of flow control because they just don't want to lose control over decision-making. And their minutes were recently put together by Joan, reviewed by Adam, will be out to the members probably before the end of this week. And, we're presenting the facts as they were and their input to the freeholders.
And even though every one of them said that they didn't want to give up control of where they take their trash, none of them talked about the alternative of higher prices, and people have to raise the taxes. And things doesn't go good.
It's an interesting.
I attended that meeting and listened, and they, to a person, the philosophical opinion of each one was that they didn't like, control of anything. What wasn't brought up was the alternative, okay? Now, here's the extreme alternative. We get a certain amount of waste from the county naturally. It's pretty natural to come here, and nobody's gonna drive 80 miles, you know what I mean? But well, let's assume surely no trash can come from other counties to us, or a very limited amount, because of their flow control. And everybody said, well, the trash almost has to come here, why worry about it? I mean, no one says that, but that's
Mindset.
the mindset, that's good. Let's suppose Waste Management come in and took the biggest customer we have, who might be Pennsville, or Pennsville our biggest customer, municipal customer?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pennsville.
It would be.
Take that. Let's say they took 2 or 3 other towns, which they already have. And he said, you know something, we're gonna haul that over to Buna and take it to, wherever the hell they take it over, Morristown, okay? They could do that. The numbers are probably prohibitive, but maybe not, okay? All it would take within Waste Management, somebody to say, let's reduce the charges at, hell's the name of that place, I can't think of the name
In
of it.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah, they're
Gross.
Rose, yeah. Because right now their rate is $23 a ton. Our rate is $50, $60 a ton. Okay, so anybody here, call them up, say I got a load of trash tomorrow, bring it over, Kate rate's 28, say I got 5 loads a week, your rate's 23, okay? Now internally, they have a system, no one knows what it is, but they have a system of charging theirself for that hole, okay? And when the auditor was here, we talked about depletion allowances. Well, that comes into being. What's that worth? Because they deplete it every day, every week or month. So if that happened, okay, And it's not beyond the realm of possibility. We'd be on fix, okay? Because we could lose 20, 30, 40% of our revenue. Now, the cost to Alloway and the small guys, El Sombrero, who couldn't do that, okay, will go dramatically up because we have fixed costs. And basically our budget is tuned to our fixed cost. We say, in theory, we only want Salem County residents to use this landfill, so benefit for 25 years. And we don't want anybody else, but we will take others in order to make it the cost per ton to the residents reasonable. We're walking that tightrope, keeping it down, to keep enough outside trash coming in to keep the rate. So if that would have happened, and it wasn't brought across to the people here, if that were to happen, okay, it'd be a whole fix. And I think we have to recognize that, the county has to recognize it, but the freeholder board and the members of that.
And the compound fracture to that is our prices will go up here, and even the private holders start hauling it somewhere else.
Well,
They were really in trouble.
well, it's a
Compound, it's just one thing
domino
after another.
effect. Now, who would have the power to do that? Only Waste Management. I mean, it's existed now. Republic would, or anybody else who runs landfills. But the only one who's has a presence here of any size is Waste. And of course, they did just that in Atlantic County, didn't they? Okay, Atlantic County said, we're gonna turn this around and we're gonna get all the revenue. The hell they did. The revenue actually went down when they enforced flow control. But what did it go down, Debbie?
They lost $3 million that first year,
Right,
so
so,
enough to take them to court,
right,
you know, and try and remediate the situation.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, so we gotta be cognizant of that, so we know what the hell we're doing. Something's got to be addressed.
What did you think, Bob? You were there too.
Well, I thought it
Oh,
was
yeah,
not in favor of it. But, you know, they like the landfill, they like everything about it, but they don't like to be locked in on what they want to do. And my understanding of the SWAC is, when you present it to the freeholders, it's gotta be a negative, I think. Because you have to go by what the
Well, I don't-
attending numbers.
Yeah, our job isn't pro or con, it's here's what was said.
what the-
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of
I don't-
reiterate exactly what was said.
Yeah, what we gotta do is get the minutes of the meeting,
We know.
basically, you know, and,
Yeah, what you didn't do was take a vote, which, may come back.
well, how would you vote? One town's got 2,000 residents, the other town's got,
Well, each
15,000.
SWAC member gets one vote, and
yeah, but,
that's the way it's.
but it's not a weighted vote, either way, I mean, if you,
Not weighted. Each SWAC member attending the meeting gets a vote.
I wouldn't agree with that at
Well,
all. No, because,
that's the solid waste rule, and that's the way it is.
huh?
That's the way it is, I believe.
Well, they weren't, all towns weren't represented, but nobody
It's
said,
just whoever's at that meeting.
yeah, well, nobody said they were in favor of it, of, flow control.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
you could have that vote, I don't know what the hell it mean, you know what I mean, you gotta weigh what the statements are, and basically, it was, we're not in favor of government interfering in the economy, you know, and I'm with them, okay? But you gotta go
Except
back to
everybody else says-
the theory to begin with. I mean, if the state were to step in and say, look, no more flow control, that'd be a stroke for everybody, I believe. And it'd be a stroke for, it would reduce the cost of trash removal, of trash disposal for the whole state. Because you got trucks running past each other, one going this way, one going that way. There's somebody paying for the gas and the rubber and the tires to do it. That's what happens. It was extreme years ago, but it's still exactly what's happening now. You got trucks going here, trucks going there. It went the natural route. All the landfills, everybody be happy, and the level, it would seek its own level. But when somebody interrupts it, then we got, it seems to me that we gotta play by that game. Because that's what I forget what one person said, he alluded to that, and I can't remember who it was, I said, yeah, if you don't have these rules, then we gotta play by those rules, yeah?
Well, and in fact, it's interesting, the DEP, although casually, and they can't tell you to put flow control in place, continues to inquire, when are you gonna get off the dime, Salem County? When are you gonna get flow control? Because we can see that you're the island unto, the rest of them around
Sure.
you. And we've been openly discussing this with our haulers, for over a year, right, Melinda?
Yep.
We openly gave them a copy of everything that was at the, presented to the SWAC, so we're keeping them in the loop on that. No one is in favor of anybody having control over the market, although there is control over the market already. And,
Everybody's
even
in
the
favor for
haulers,
cheaper prices.
yeah, they like the rate stabilization aspect
Yeah,
of it.
and what you gotta do, you gotta back to the enabling legislation. The enabling legislation speaks about districts, okay? And I was sitting in the Senate, in the committee when that law was adopted. The concept of the districts was regional districts, okay? And in my mind at the time was the extreme South Jersey be one district, Gloucester, Camden, Burlington be another district, Atlantic be another district, and then North Jersey, whatever the hell they wanted. That was the idea. Well, as it turned out, they made each county a district instead of that. And I'll tell you, you see the inquiries we're getting out, the report that Atlantic County had to put together, and the report that Burlington County had to put together. To me, when you read the request for those reports, what somebody up there is thinking about is regional districts. And it's funny that we aren't requested to fill out a,
Not yet.
I mean, I'm sure it's coming.
It would be with certification, that's when everybody got them.
Pardon?
Everybody got those requests when they filed their certification for flow control.
Right, okay, so we'll more likely get it. And once each county puts that all together, somebody's gonna read them all and say, hey, why don't we just take this one, this one, this one, and make a district out, in my opinion, might be wrong. But whatever, any other questions?
And there was one thing that was pointed out too, Freeholder Cross, that perhaps the freeholders need to take a look at, and we can send it over to you, the composition of the SWAC committee. They made a notation that every municipality is represented, but there's a lack of specific haulers represented on
Right,
that.
on the board.
And I said, well, as far as I know, it's always been just municipal representatives for at least the 10 years that I can recall.
Right. I got some feedback on that as well, so.
Yeah.
we'll
The statute
address that.
requires.
There's some that are interested in serving.
Right.
Mhm.
The statute requires quite a few different representatives. I know the haulers is one of them, but there are other,
Yeah,
I just forget the legislation. I remember when I was on it years ago, Christ, it was, I think 55 people. I don't know who the hell they were, all kind of.
I was on Cumberland counties, and it was the mayor or their designee, and then there was about 8 ad hoc members.
Yeah, from different.
Right, haulers
aspects
was
of
one,
interest.
I recall that one. And,
Recyclers.
right, yeah. Which makes a lot of sense, because the theory of that is to get input. You know. All right, any other questions on that? We'll be here all night.
We'll approve the minutes, or the committee reports.
Where we at?
The executive director report and the.
Oh,
standing-
okay.
And the standing committee reports.
Okay. Executive Director report first. Is there any other further questions? Hearing none without objection, I'll order the report received and filed. No objections heard, so ordered. All the committee reports, Executive Committee, Personnel, Economic Development, Solid Waste, and Innovation, the same question. Any other question on that? Without objection, hearing nothing, I'll order them received and filed. Hearing no objection, so ordered. So that's done. Where are we at here?
New business, tab number 8. No action. on old business.
Okay.
No action on old business.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. There's no old business, I understand. Number 8, number 7, I'm looking at new business. That's why I'm jumping ahead of everybody. So this resolution is on hold, or what are we doing
Yeah,
here?
this resolution, I did talk with bond counsel in regards to this. There's actually 2 additional steps that have to occur. We can move forward to adopt this resolution, which is a supplemental resolution that authorizes the issuance of the bonds, contingent upon the county receiving their rating, which would have been done anyway before this meeting. And The additional step that will have to be done in July, although that will not preclude us from going out to bond before the July meeting, is to accept the written recommendations from the local finance board. We do have an email confirming the action that they took from them, but it does take them 30 days to issue the written findings. So those written findings will come back to this board to be accepted, and it was the consent agreement for that.
Motion to approve?
This is the resolution number 40.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion to approve, I have a second. Second, we have a question, question on the motion, and this must be
This is a roll
a
call.
roll call vote, okay. And will Ford do it? Yes, Ford will do it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, questions on the motion? Any questions?
Madam Director, or Mr. Chair, if I could, you stated 2 additional steps that were needed. One, the first one was bond rating?
The bond rating from the county is required before we can actually go to the market for the bond.
Okay. And the second
And then the
was
second
the
step does not
accept the
preclude us
written,
from moving forward with the bond, is for us to accept the local finance board's
the written
recommendations.
recommendations. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, that's a good question. I'll ask the freeholder representative here. I understand that the freeholders are going out for some bond anticipation notes. Is that correct?
I believe they're looking at them, looking at some things in order to reduce, I think, some of our costs as well.
Why didn't you wrap them up with this and you would have had it at the same cost? You'd done the whole job.
Well, I'm not sure that, I don't have a clear-cut answer for you there, but I will raise the issue.
Yeah, I mean, well, I saw it in the paper and I said to myself, geez, you can get 2 birds with 1 stone here, because the cost of the bond council would be nothing or next to nothing. You gotta go through your what do you call it, your auditing firm, so that wouldn't be anything. So it seems to me, I know my experience over the past many years, I always try to bundle them all up, because once you go to the well, there's not much difference whether it's 6 million, 60 million, or 600 million. The administrative costs are the same, or not the same, but not much different. So that's, too late now. Or well, maybe it's not too late, but it seems to me that you can look at that. But, okay, so we have a move and second. Any other questions? Move and second, we'll have a roll call vote.
John Everett,
Yes?
Pete Burrows,
Yes.
Lee Snyder,
Yes.
Ray Field.
Yes.
Let the record show that the final number is not here, obviously. Okay, so approved. That resolution. Okay, where are we at? Awarding a contract for the loader.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, question on the motion. Debbie, can you do us a Reader's Digest?
Sure.
version of this one?
We did issue a formal bid for a John Deere 824K or similar 4-wheel loader. We did receive 2 bids as outlined in the resolution, one from Jesco, one from Penn Jersey. One was the John Deere, one was the Volvo. They're both comparable material, or comparable pieces of equipment. In fact, we do have the Volvos right now. However, the Volvo bid from Penn Jersey took 5 specific exceptions, of which 3 of them are material in terms of the price and quality of the unit, most significantly being a significantly reduced engine size that we did not find acceptable for operations. So although they were the apparent low bidder at $363,100, with those exceptions, we are recommending the award go to Jesco at $363,650, which is a difference of $550.
We have a motion and a second on that question. I asked our attorney, is it required that we give this reason for those exceptions, or shouldn't there be a statement from someone saying that these exceptions don't meet the bid and here's why?
Well, we put in the resolution itself is what sets forth what we did, and my recollection from reading the resolution is that we put in there what it said, what was wrong. We're declaring as a board that these bids didn't meet or came in with the exceptions and therefore we're not.
I understand,
The
I
letter to-
understand fully, but, someone has to tell me that a smaller motor is not good enough. No one told me.
Our letter to the bidder will.
It gotta be to me, because I gotta vote.
Oh, it's in the resolution.
Not really, it just says it has a small motor. Maybe small motors are better.
It's early on.
Sure.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you question whether or not that's accurate or not, we need to speak
I'm
to the
happy to
person.
provide a copy
Yeah.
of the
Yeah,
exceptions to the board.
Well, right, yeah, I think, I'm pretty much agreed with this, but in the future, I know different times we got a little trouble with this. We made a decision, who said that? I don't know who said it. Let's get a report saying a smaller motor won't go up the hill, or whatever. So, again, it's not a major thing in this particular case. I think in the future, if it doesn't meet that, we should have a statement saying supervisor or whoever, engineer, said that, and this, we all pretty much know that. But in the future, I think that's why I asked you. I thought we got into a little scrape about that, maybe another word I was out.
Yeah, I don't recall that at all.
Do you understand where I'm going?
I know where you're going, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you want the backup documentation for what you're declaring in a resolution, that's fine. I mean,
Oh, I
that's essentially
remember
what
what it was.
you're.
I won't mention, it just come to me now what it was. It was about those chairs. That's what it was.
These chairs.
It was about the chairs, okay, but.
Was there, they didn't meet the, I remember having some issues with that, but.
Yeah, because somebody said that they weren't good enough.
In the nursing home.
And I said, why aren't they good enough? You sit on them, right, they don't fall down. And, well, whatever, that's what I wrote it down. But, so I think
Well, this instance.
should
you
be
have a
our
bidder.
policy, I'm not concerned about this, should be our policy, if there is, it's a minimum amount of money, and we probably won't be called on it, but,
Just listing the 6 significant things would get it done.
Okay.
If we just listed the 6 things, you'd be happy with that?
I will amend the resolution to attach the
no,
exceptions.
I know what it is, okay? But I'm talking about the
So I'm
future.
talking about, if in the future there are exceptions, just list the exceptions and be done, right? We all
No,
know that.
not really,
I don't know if
because,
you wanna go down that road,
No, no.
because you could have multiple bidders with multiple exceptions, and you could have a 10-page, 15-page resolution at that point.
You don't usually
I
do that.
mean, I've seen it,
Well,
you
there's
know,
just
5
a lot of
different bidders
responsibility.
with a lot of.
I'm not saying have it in a resolution, I'm saying have the backup. Say, because I might say, yeah, has a smaller motor, but you'll save a lot of fuel for the year. Now, what do you say?
But all members have access to ask Debbie when they see that there's a change. Call I did, why is this happening, send me the documentation.
There was a landfill committee that discussed it, I'm
Yeah.
assuming in the minutes of that, when they're finalized, it'll
Yep.
itemize those points.
Well, one exception is probably worth the $500, so let's just.
Well, I understand that, that's why I'm not,
You moving a motion then?
Let's move along.
motion's made and seconded, right?
We can second
All,
that.
any other questions on the motion? Made and seconded, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. What's the next item? Rejecting bids for analytical or, right?
Yes.
Where are we at? I can't turn my page.
I'll give you some background while you're looking for that. Upon further reading of the ALS proposal, when we first put these analytical bids out, we had 3 respondents. And upon further review of the ALS proposal, before we put it into contract terms, the engineer did thoroughly review their proposal and also found that all of the bidders, including ALS, misstated the quantities of testing that they were going to perform in response to our original bid. Their bid then, at the recommendation of the engineer, was considered disqualified. Everybody misstated the quantities. What we did about that, even though the bid document clearly indicated that we had a new cell and clearly indicated that we needed additional sampling beyond that which we're performing, the engineer prepared an actual bid table so that people can do the math very easily, you know, and not screw it up. So we submitted new bids. So the first thing we need to do is reject the original bids. And then your next motion is then to award a contract, which will go to QC Lab because we rebid that work. And QC Lab was your lowest apparent bidder at $20,487 per year.
I make a motion to reject the bid.
Adopt the resolution rejecting the bid, number 41, right?
42.
42. Your motion is to adopt that resolution, which is rejecting the bid, is that correct?
Yes.
Move, have a second?
I'll second.
Move and second, all those in favor, any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Got it. Okay, now, we have rebid, and you have a resolution to award it to, what do you call it?
QC Labs.
Where's that resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve QC Labs.
Hold on, I'll find the resolution. Do we have any?
Yeah, there wasn't one for the rejection, I don't think.
No, it wasn't. Let's see,
Actually,
but there is one for acceptance.
let me find it in the packet. So we'll go there.
Oh, it's one resolution.
No, there's two separate resolutions. No, this one that's in the packet that you have there is for the award of the contract. I will go find the one for the.
Okay, so we adopted resolution 42, which rejects the bid.
That's one we don't have.
We don't have, but it's a resolution to reject the bid, that's clear, right? And we'll take care of that. Now we have a resolution to award the bid to QC Labs.
I'll make that motion.
And that's number 43? 43. Okay, yeah, I'm reading it here. I thought I saw.
Yeah, it was in a scanned one, I don't know what happened to it
Yeah, I
here.
remember saying.
Oh, okay, I see analytical, okay, so they did bid the second time?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, in
Everybody did.
QC, gotcha. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 43, which awards a contract to QC.
So moved.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Second, move and second. Any question on the motion? Move and second, all in favor signify by saying aye. That's it. Next item is relief, folks.
Roll containers.
We accepted formal quotations from vendors. The reason we did it as a formal written quotation is because from year to year, this contract borders on $17,500. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's over. So we took formal official quotes from vendors to haul the containers. These are the roll-off containers at our convenience center to the top of the hill and dump them and bring them back down. We did have one respondent, William Miller and Sons. His price is $34.79 for that round trip visit. And that is $2 higher than we've been paying the past 2 years.
I never quite got the concept of, we have roll-off containers in our landfill, and we pay somebody else to house them to the top and dump them.
Because we don't have a roll-off truck of our own yet.
And they cost $150.
I believe the roll-off truck had been looked at several times during prior capital projects, and before me.
There's not even
We're
a
never
used vehicle
approved.
you could get them in.
We
75.
have that in our capital plan now.
$75,000.
For used.
Exactly.
I mean, because you don't need a new one, it's gonna be like crap in 2-3 days, I mean, so.
You know-
The whole distance is not more than
100 yards, 200 yards,
200
500
yards.
yards.
We had made a proposal to some.
Another way to look at it is buy a tractor, okay, a tractor trailer tractor, okay, and you buy 2 trailers. One trailer is a liquid hauling trailer, and the other is a roll-off trailer. Now, some people are gonna say you don't want to be running a roll-off trailer up a hill. I think you could, but that might be the way to look.
Well, that's stuff that we're looking into, but I'll
Yeah.
make a motion to approve the contract. Because we're not gonna get it done before.
Well, it doesn't preclude us. This is no minimum.
We could cancel this within
Yeah.
30 days. So,
second motion.
move to second, all those, any questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye. So bad, okay. Resolution opposing Assembly Bill 3897. You got 30 seconds of this or less?
Sure. These are bills that are moving actually through legislature, much to, I guess, everyone's surprise in different solid waste divisions, that would exempt certain entities, right now it's institutions and educational facilities, from recycling, source separated and material, which is something that has been going on in this state for decades. The concern with this is twofold. One, the market is really not ripe by any stretch of the imagination to allow all materials to go into one can. The only areas that would be able to handle this are indeed tipping stations, such as waste management. So this is a significant benefit to the major haulers, a significant downturn to the recycling market in the area, and to those of us that have, benefited from recycling and keeping material out of our landfills. Our concern here with this also is that as a facility that accepts material, we can certainly identify where it comes from commercially and institutionally, but how are you going to tell the homeowner that goes, to work that they don't have to recycle there when they go down, let's say, to the plant, but they have to recycle at home? This is really not the direction that we feel our legislature should be moving in, considering.
Do you think it's moving? Does it have legs?
Yeah.
It's got some legs,
Does
believe it or
not
not.
your co-sponsor have been submitted to a committee?
It's still moving.
But you know,
Where is it moving?
Did you want to committee?
It's not to a committee, it's not.
Oh, you know that for a fact?
I looked at it today.
Oh, it's not a
It
committee?
wasn't,
Oh, shit.
it's
That's
not
why
a
we pulled
committee.
it.
Yeah.
But-
And it's not even a co-sponsor.
I'll make a motion that we oppose this,
Second.
So you make a motion, we
or approve
adopt
the
the
resolution
resolution.
opposed.
I'll second it, move second. Questions? Move second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Like a spitball, something up there.
well, these are the kind of things you want to get early,
Yeah.
get them in the bud.
A motion authorizing refurbish or purchase of roll-off containers,
I have a question.
$10,000.
We're gonna refurbish some of ours so they can go off-site.
Correct.
Or on site.
And the purpose of it, some communities want a can somewhere, let's say Carney's Point wants a can.
Right.
These are, yes, spot, they're not for the convenience centers, but they might have a special project coming up, a community event, and they need a container. Our intent here is not to cut out our local haulers by any stretch of the imagination. But they have asked, since we have shared service agreements with them, if we do have, I believe it's at least 7 or 8 containers that we took out of service when we put our line containers in, if we could arrange for them to have those containers on a short-term basis.
Okay, so Carney's Point wants to have a festival, they wanna throw a lot of trash in it, and they're gonna save a couple $100 for a drop charge, we still gotta pay the disposal. But for us to spend this kind of money, for how many requests do we get on this?
And how do we get it to them?
Well, we actually have 6 that are committed right now, if we can get them in good enough condition that they could be moved off-site.
But how long would they be having this for, a week, 10 days?
Well, some of them are using it for house cleanouts, so that obviously ebbs and tides with the market as to how many houses they're gonna be cleaning out at a period of time.
I would think
I
that,
don't believe it's gonna be in this neighborhood. We actually went out and just said, what's the cost for a new container compared to fixing up the old ones? We believe it is cheaper to fix up the old ones than to buy a new one at $3,500 a pop.
I would think that you could, fix a couple, I just don't see the demand.
Well,
And it's just a cost to us to be the good neighbor, to save the Carney's Point a few $100, or Elmer a few $100.
No, that's not even them. By the minutes of the landfill committee, it's Camden municipalities.
I did see Camden on here, yes.
it could be, oh, yeah.
Well, that's what it says, right?
We would offer them to anybody.
Yeah, anybody, really. We had it with Alloway, for example. Matter of fact, that might be one of the ideas to work with Alloway.
It says roll-off container purchase and refurbishment for Camden municipalities. I don't know that I wanna put money out.
No, they wanna pay us. No, we pay
It's
them,
money making.
we charge for them. They go, give them, we wanna charge for them. It's a money-making proposition,
Does anybody in our county want them?
certainly. Alloway, we had that with Alloway.
Well, it's not so bad if it said
Okay.
Salem County also, but it
Oh,
only says,
anybody wants it.
it
This
only
is-
says Camden County in the.
No, this is for anybody's use.
No,
This
I mean, I'm just
resolution is for
reading
anybody.
The agenda of the landfill.
Okay, but my memo doesn't say that. It's for anybody's
Uh,
use.
So,
And the agenda doesn't discuss what you discussed.
That's why we have a question session.
Elmer is, wants one, we had to pay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's why I
my
said
understanding was this was gonna be a.
No.
Oh, no,
But this is what we
no,
said.
no.
that
Well,
the
we're gonna
units
be
would be
good neighbors
available at competitive
Ah.
rates.
No, we charge them
You
so
know.
much a month for it. No, it's not a,
The longer you have it, the better for us.
yeah,
And how do we get it to them?
They may
The
either.
miller?
they have their
them up.
own, no, they have their own
They have
equipment.
So
They
have them-
do, but around here, we could do it with the local guy, well, Nora could use, that's a good point.
So Camden would have, but the local people, I mean, Elmer certainly doesn't have one, I don't pitch.
Yeah, but we could arrange for them to say, rent it to them.
So
Well,
why wouldn't I just call Red Oak?
you might. On the other hand, because Red Oak charges you a fee if you keep it more than a week. You know what I mean? So otherwise, you leave it sit. If some town wants it for a year, so be it. Pay so much a month, keep it. And I think towns will do that. I would if I was a town. Yeah. Like for example, to me, it's going to turn into Alloway. Because we can say to Alloway, here, we got the containers right here. We'll send them over to you. We'll eliminate that cost to you. I mean, we'll obviously put the cost into the proposal, but that's what's going to happen over there. I mean, their costs are going up, right? And they're looking for ways to keep it down.
I'm not getting the big picture here, I'm just not
Okay.
getting it.
We have containers that we can put out to anybody, any comer, for a fee.
And so does Red Oak, and so does C&H, and so does.
That's right. Ours are geared toward municipalities, and that they can have them for so much a month. Nothing to do with hauling.
Well, they have to be registered with the DEP. You have to
Right.
get a sticker on it.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what we gotta do. So then we say, no, we have containers, okay? Municipality, Alloway, which I hope I'll get to that. A lot of these municipalities in Camden County, they have a container always at their place for like street sweepings, which we get. By the way, the street sweepings that we get, we charge them for it, and it's a beneficial use. You get the money both ways. We get it from,
Slightly contaminated stuff, right?
yeah, slightly contaminated, so it's covered, and it's, so we get two ways. So put that container there, you get that one. They have people, you go to Gloucester, you see it right back in their place here. People come there, dump their stuff in. You know, they got a house cleaned out, they bring stuff, load it in, yeah?
Right, so I guess one of the questions is, I'm taking this thing out, I'm putting this can somewhere in Camden. Right?
Right.
Who's gonna make sure that the can doesn't go away?
Our shared
They're
service
responsible
agreement.
for it.
Huh?
The entity we have the shared service agreement with.
They're
We have insurance
responsible
with
for
them.
it.
Oh, sure. We have shared service, and we get some of that material now, but we don't get a lot of it because they don't have a can. And see what they'll do up there, some towns have their own roll-offs, some don't. Well, one will haul for the other.
So when I go to Upper Pittsgrove, the recycling, their center out there, their convenience center, whatever you wanna call it, those containers belong to who?
C&H,
Pardon me?
C&H.
C&H. Okay, so they're renting from C&H for those things to sit there.
Some towns own their own, I think,
Pittsburgh owns our own.
Pittsgrove owns their
Everybody-
own.
it's
Some
kind of
towns go one way,
hodgepodge.
some
You have a
go
little bit
the
of
other.
everything.
But we put them on gov deals.
Pardon?
Put them on gov deals. Just get rid of them.
No, we wanna get the money.
Well, you get them on gov deals.
Well, no, we wanna get the money and the.
Well, you put out to get a little bit more, right? Maybe you get all that with gov deals selling them directly.
No.
One versus on.
We don't want the revenue from them, that's the cost. We want to get the revenue from the,
Waste.
from the waste. We're not worried about the $30 a month or $25 a month for renting it. We want to get the waste. And we will get more if we do that. And the idea is to try to get the beneficial use stuff. I mean, that's the come on, you know, if you want to call it that.
So it's $3,500 for a new one, and we can get 6 repaired for 15,000?
Probably less than 10, because there's only, what, 2 that have holes? I think most of them are just like sand, paint,
I think we have 8,
and label
don't
and register. I think we have 8.
we? I mean, we have 8.
Yes.
So,
So $1,250 a pop. Right?
yeah.
And one of our local vendors, haulers, can do the work for us, you know, we'll put it out for everybody.
But the idea is to get the beneficial use material in, which is money to us 2 ways. One, we get the dollars that they pay us, and we don't buy equal amount off of, whatever her name is, who we buy that sand off of.
I couldn't send them road.
That's, so So that's, you get 10 ton of beneficial use, what we charge, $8 a ton?
7 plus.
So call it $8 a ton. Okay, you get 10 ton, you get $80 in, and you eliminate $7 a ton that we pay out.
If we didn't have that, we had to
Right.
buy it.
So,
All right, well, I'll make a motion, we approve this and move the motion.
okay.
And can we take and add, take out the word Camden here, or I don't see, I'm looking for the Camden here. I did see it elsewhere, but I don't see it here.
It's in the
It's not in the
minutes of, it's in
recommendation.
tab 5, page 3.
I'm sorry.
It's not in the recommendation that it's the exclusive for
No,
anybody. It's for
it'll be for
anybody we have a shared
any
service
numbers.
agreement with.
Okay.
And shared service agreements are any public entity.
It's not exclusive.
I make that part of my motion that it's for anybody.
Then I'll second it.
Okay, move to second. Any more questions on the motion? Move to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so bad. All right, and by the way, when we get moving on to our way, this will be a component of it, The only reason we can't use them on site is because they're not covered, which, that's another story. I don't quite understand that, but that's the way, that's the way it is. Pardon?
There's a gasket on them also, probably you need to use them here.
Yeah,
I
the
think-
current ones are,
I think we have a gasket on these, don't we?
not on these, we have them on
You
the
sure?
other ones.
That's okay.
Just for dry trash.
Motion to authorize installation of groundwater monitoring wells.
Mr. Chairman, with the addition of cell number 8, we were required to abandon 2 of our groundwater monitoring wells, which were consumed by the landfill space. And we're also required to install 6 new groundwater monitoring wells for that new cell. We've secured quotes through our engineer, both of which were attached to you in the packet, with East Coast Drilling being the lowest bidder at $29,780. And since that's over the $10,000 threshold for the board's approval, we ask for your permission.
You check anybody local?
These were the 2 that we received.
I know, you sent them to somebody in Moorestown and Middletown.
These were the 2 bids that we received.
Right.
That's,
They were published, or you mailed it to them?
No, these were just quotes.
they were it's quoted, it's under the $36,000 per bid.
Don't we have an economic development component? There's a lot of people in the area that do well drilling. Not in Burlington County, maybe. This is Burlington County well drillers coming down to put in 8 wells, and there's people around here that can do that.
Do we have any well drillers in Salem County?
I did a quick search, South Jersey well drillers, and these 2 guys aren't on it, but there's a lot that are.
But not in Salem County,
Cumberland, Cumberland.
Salem, you have Calabrese and Greenwich, which is not far away, but probably not Salem, but a lot closer than Burlington County.
How I know is because when I drilled a couple wells myself, I looked and there were none, which is hard to believe, but,
There's some in Cumberland.
huh?
There's some
Yeah,
in
there's
Cumberland.
No, they could be, I don't
There's a
know.
lot in Cumberland. I'll look it up.
Do you want us to get additional quotes?
I think we should try to get local businesses as much business as we can instead of going out for engineering services.
What's the time frame?
Drilling and-
What's the time frame on this?
DEP, we'll ask for
Sooner
it.
the better.
Yeah, we want to get it in this year, obviously. But quotes are not hard to get.
All right, so we'll table till
Well,
next month.
move the table up?
Unless you want us to make a motion to approve the best bidder with new,
Well,
Well,
can you approve the amount up to $29,780, and then
if you
we'll
find somebody
solicit
local,
local quotes?
again, go
Obviously
cheaper.
goes to the cheapest
hold
one.
on. What's the anticipated cost of this?
$29,780.
Oh,
That's the
really?
lowest quote we have now.
Oh, it says 10,000 there.
No, because it's over $10,000.
Oh, okay, I see what that means.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve this, and if there's anybody local that's less expensive, then we'll use the local.
You approve the limit, the dollar limit, not the
Yeah.
vendor.
Right.
Yeah, you good with that?
Yes. As long as you-
So not to exceed 29, whatever, is that what we're saying? What's that number?
Yeah, we can go into the well drill and say you have 29,000, can you do it?
Okay.
It's not too late.
All right, so
We'll
the
solicit
motion
quotes.
is to authorize the executive director to go out for quotes as long as they're under 29,000 to issue the purchase order and proceed with the work. And the caveat is that we send a request to local well drillers. You know a lot of them local well drillers?
No,
I do.
have the same. Well, it's a groundwater well, you're not creating water.
I understand. I understand well. I know quite a few of them. But whatever. We'll see what our experience is.
Move motion.
Okay, move, have a second?
Second.
Move second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed?
All
Well, you gotta be careful with these birds. As I say, it's not, you're not going for water, but, okay, that's the end of that. Oh, no, hold on. Authorizing bid for tier 4 electrical generator. Give us a,
Yeah, probably against our best wishes, but we figured this is the best path forward on this issue. Because our air inspector is pretty insistent upon a tier 4 compliant generator. We have done some calling around. We've checked with all of the experts in South Jersey who run generators. There really are none to be had. We know we can get them shipped in from California, but before we go too far down this path, part of our strategy with the DEP is to basically show them that there's none to be had in South Jersey. Even in North Jersey, anywhere on the East Coast. But I think we'd like to proceed to just bid out, not award any contract, for a tier 4 generator, so we can show the DEP that they're asking for something that really does not exist at this present time, at least not within a reasonable period of time. Our strategy then is to go back to them and basically show them there's none to be had, and ask for them to give us relief to continue to run our 3-tier compliant generator.
So we're, okay. How many tons of this plastic do we have out there?
About 2,300 tons.
And we do peg the estimated cost of a tier 4 generator somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000. Like I said, they're not here, so it's not like a matter of calling up and saying how much it's gonna
And
cost.
how much can we get for this plastic, 2-3 cents, you say?
nothing. It's called nothing.
Did I say 2 cents?
2 cents, it's probably reasonable.
So we sold every bill, we had $92,000.
And the best bet, yeah, that we would have in this is, we could, if we decide, hey, if we turned up a tier 4 generator and it's, readily available, we could utilize our 2013 recycling grant, which is yet to be received in hand, to reimburse the Improvement Authority for this
How
project.
many years did it take us to accumulate 2,300 tons of?
Well, we also get paid a tipping fee to bring it in, So we're getting on the average about $58.40 a ton. We're also avoiding landfilling it, so we're saving the landfill space.
I'll make a motion to approve.
How about, motion, but have you looked at electric? I see a $25,000 to run 3-phase back there, and then you wouldn't need a generator. You wouldn't need an air permit, you wouldn't need fuel, maintenance. Why not that?
We could actually go that route. Our first approach with the 3-phase electric service was to try and get DCO Energy to perhaps take a bill for that as part of a second generator that would be out there. That's not likely going to happen with DCO at this point in time. We can go with 3-phase. Timeline is probably several months out because I have to order equipment. There's
Well,
not any
you're
other.
going out to bid on something you don't think is available.
There's
So there's timeline's not an issue.
There's not any other use for electric service out there. If you remember, this is a demonstration project for us, okay? We didn't want to get so committed into heavy equipment costs, heavy capital costs, when we go to sell this material if it's not going to be viable. Equipment we can sell, 3-phase electric, if we can't plug anything into it, is going to be a complete waste of money. The generator at least could be utilized to support our administration building out there. The current generator that we have during emergency purposes will power one computer, no lights, no air conditioning, no heat.
So we're going to do the dance for this thing. We're going to go.
I'm trying to play with the DEP to give them an answer to what they're looking for, which is get us the tier 4. I'm not saying this is the path we're going to go down, but I'm trying to give them concrete information that we can say, you're barking up the wrong tree, this stuff doesn't exist. And I don't want to get committed on a 3-phase. I want them to give us the approval to run the thing with the tier 3 permit, or the tier 3 generator we have right now.
Are we running it now?
We are not running the unit.
Why? Because of her comment?
Because she didn't tell you you couldn't run it.
Because she was coming Wednesday and we packed it up so that we're not using it right now.
Well, wait a minute. I'm missing something.
Well, some of it was staffing though too. We had issues with gas, methane piping that pulled people for that.
But stop, we have been using it.
We have used it.
We have used it,
Yes.
okay. So the strategy is to ask for bids, we get no bids, we send up to the state, look, we tried, it's not available. Okay, that's one, so that does something. If it comes in at 10,000, we say, maybe we'll buy it. If it comes in at 50, 80,000, anything like that one, okay? Probably, why is it three-phase? How big is the motors on that machine? Horsepower? Huh? You have any idea? Were they 2, 3 horse? Was it hydraulic?
On the baler,
Yeah.
you know what? It's not even in my head. The generator is a, what's it,
Forget about the
65?
generator, I'm asking about the baler.
I know,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, the
I don't
baler,
remember,
How big's the motor?
don't remember,
well, the question is, it's a hydraulic machine, right?
yes.
Okay, so the motors are running the hydraulic thing. Why don't you just switch the motor to single phase? That would be, matter of fact, I just did one 2 days ago. You know, 2 horse.
Baler, I don't think we want to be tampering with a brand new baler, I don't think we want to be
Avoid the warranty.
tinkering with
Wow.
that.
Well, you put a VFD in and the three-phase comes out of the VFD.
Yeah.
Feed it with
Well, I
single
mean,
phase and-
that's another way to go down. You know, another way to go down. And how much you say it is to run the power out there?
25,000.
We're specking about 25,000. We got poles and wires to run. I mean, if we were talking just cost option, that would probably be the direction we'd go right now. But again, we're doing it on this is a demonstration project, we want a temporary.
So our first goal is to say to the state, one, we can't find whatever the hell it is, a phase 4 ISMA, right? And,
Well, not until we pass this resolution, we'll be able to
Well,
do that.
can't you find that out with a request for proposals, or?
That's what we want to do.
But
it's
it
over-
That's why I voted.
says bid.
Well, it's over
Bid's different
10,000.
than an RFP.
If it's over 36,000, it's gotta be, you know.
our
whatever the
internal
format.
regulations say that she can't do
Anything
anything
over
over
10 has
10,000.
to be at
It's
this
not
We
on
only
point.
do
purpose.
RFPs for certain things, so this may not qualify as.
RFQ.
Pardon?
No,
Just
but
getting
you're
a
not
quote.
asking for a service, you're asking for a
A
thing.
unit.
Our internal
So,
rules are
qualifications.
that the executive director can't exceed 10,000 hours without our specific approval, and that's what she's asking for.
But they're gonna find one, and it's gonna be cost prohibitive,
Well,
and the
so be
DEP's not gonna really care that it's cost prohibitive. They're
If
gonna
we
say,
find one, we still don't have to buy it.
I can't see
Yeah, I
anything
mean,
reasonable about
the
anything.
RFQ just gets you someone that has one and tells you the price.
Right.
Then you can go for the bid.
Right, so we're not gonna,
Not buying it.
my motion is to put this, to see if we can find one. We're making a resolution, we do that. And then once we get the price, we'll make a final decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty evident we're not
But
gonna
we
buy
can't
it.
talk about it until we get a second.
Yeah, all right. A second?
I'll second it.
All right.
Move a second.
Now what we have to do is talk about it and then we'll
Okay.
move it.
I think it's very apparent we're not gonna buy one unless we find one for 15 grand or something.
We won't know until we get our information.
Right, so then once we get that,
If you bid it and you have someone that has one, to get out of that bid, you have to have good reasons.
A
You
budget.
can abandon the
Budgetary
project.
Well, you have to,
Yeah.
that's not a good one anymore, is it?
Yeah. Budgetary reason.
Cost prohibitive. Cost prohibitive, we got 10,000 in the budget, it costs 80, sorry.
Don't you have to include that, how much you have, how much you're budgeting?
You know, I think you might be right these days, I think there are some,
We don't have to disclose it with the bid.
well, whatever, let's move on.
We gotta
Yeah,
move
we
Let's
it.
wait an hour out of it. Another thing. Motion moved, second. Any more questions on the motion? Hearing none, moved and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, so, correspondence. We have a list of correspondence. You all have time to peruse it. Any questions on the correspondence?
Yeah, when you, next time you have a SWAC meeting, include one letter on the list of the people you sent it to.
The boilerplate instead of each one?
Yeah, instead of everybody getting this, the same
You
letter.
try to save paper, right?
It's an
I
electronic.
guess this goes to recycling, so it's a good thing.
You can try to put us out of business. Okay, that's a good point. And the other thing, okay, you had an opportunity to review the correspondence. Without objection, I'll order the correspondence received and filed. Obviously, liberty to call on any correspondence at a later date. What else? Okay, public comment. I'm sure, motion to open the.
I'll make that motion.
Second, I'll second, move second, all those in favor, say aye. It is now up to the public, you all know the route. Hello, anybody in the public? Up. One taker.
In Sullivan Alley Township, on page number 1 of Economic Development, Salem County Improvement Check Register by check date, what is the compensation, what is the mileage that's paid per
It's the
month?
IRS rate, so it's $56.50.
Is that what it is? I think I'll buy a car and just drive it around.
Thank you, okay. What is this on the same page, check number or clearing, I'm not sure, 1803 is the reference number in the left-hand corner, still first page. What services were provided by Marco for $1,900 and change? Jim, would you like to address that?
Promotional items for New Jersey, what we had, well,
New Jersey
Improvement
Association of
Authority.
Counties.
Yeah, New Jersey counties, and it was promotional items.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, is that your? Mr. Voros mentioned there were some issues with Salem City leachate maybe demonstration project. Was there a problem with Salem City on the leachate demonstration?
Yeah, basically what happened is at one time there was,
This was 1 cent or something, wasn't it really?
no, not the money, there was a sheen discovered in there, a sheen, and no one knows where it came from. It was intimated that perhaps came from our operation, and they temporarily stopped us from bringing it over. And we did all our due diligence, we couldn't find that it came from us. They did their due diligence, I assume, and they said it wasn't coming from them, so no one knows where it came from. They visited it from another planet. At any rate, we're trying to redo it, to have safeguards, so that no sheen appears in the future. We discussed our thing, regularly, we never had a sheen. There's some petroleum or some other thing. And we've done our due diligence, and now we're trying to get back on board that, okay, let's move forward, and here's the guarantees that will make sure that sheen will appear.
Sheen free, is that what you want to be?
I guess you could.
Okay, that's the goal.
Yeah, I always wanted to sheen free.
Yeah, that's not a good thing to be sure. When you're talking about your containers back here with refurbishing them and access to reuse, if you bring them to another county that has flow control, can Camden,
We
do
don't
they have?
have flow control.
Camden doesn't have flow control?
The only county
Way to
besides
go, okay.
And there are some waste that you don't, it doesn't qualify for.
I was gonna say
Gloucester
there's some
County, for
stuff.
example, has some items that are not
So
covered.
still to be determined.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
You didn't ask about the, I thought you'd asked about the cell tower. That was that project.
Well, I was given information that there was a 3% increase each year, it was like, $1,300 or $1,400. When I first asked about it, it was $1,200 a year, and that was back with Mr. Cooper's tutelage, that he contacted me, so we've been in touch once in a while.
You're not allowed to ask the people questions.
Well, this is public comment. But I thought it was about that much money, I wasn't sure.
Whatever. Okay, any other questions from the public? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, if I could, does anybody else have anything, or I'll ask a couple if you don't mind.
Couple more.
One, on the solid waste division bills, I see an awful lot of 300s, it looks like almost like peer funding. Like the peer funding used to be, I mean, you guys,
Do you oppose to that?
That's Clean Communities money for road cleanup projects for the nonprofit organizations.
not opposed to it at all, just want clarification.
This is the time of the year where you will see an
We
abundance.
sent out,
Number two was, just to make you aware, Madam Director, that I don't know if with the joining forces with NJAC and lobbying, Salem County's not a member of NJAC right now.
We
currently.
actually found that out on Friday.
Yeah, so just wanted to give you that heads up. That's like a year-to-year thing. Hopefully we can get back into it with the
How much
increased
is
revenues
that?
we got coming in. A little over $5,000.
It was like 5,600.
Yeah.
We were the cheapest
Yep.
county. 'cause we have the
Obviously, yeah.
population.
When in talking about the flow control, I get, you know, I certainly understand, you know, we're one of, I guess, the 2 counties that don't have it. Although that's the bigger.
2 counties down this way.
The bigger fish to me is, I mean, is there a bill like at the state? I mean, is anything about keeping stuff in state? I mean, that's
No,
the
they
bigger,
can't.
that's the millions of dollars.
No,
going across the bridge.
because the Supreme Court decision, the Ohio group, fought that, and the Supreme Court said you can't stop interstate commerce.
Okay.
And that's what threw the whole idea into the cocktail.
Okay. Last one was, in regards to the cans, if you get cans or whatever, is there any thought that you think you guys might alienate the current haulers?
Well, this is what we said, we were not interested in competing with them. This is something that, it's another service we're looking to offer, not go out and market and say, hey, we want to take over Pittsgrove, Upper Pittsgrove's Convenience Center and take the work for CNH. But they do have those spot events occasionally, and this is just what I call one of those other supplemental services that we can offer.
Okay. Very good.
Some of our haulers, just so you know, are not interested in going to certain places. They're very
Territorial.
prescribed in their territory.
Territorial.
And, you know, that's okay. They know their territory, they know what they want, where they want to go and what they want to do. But if we get somebody that wants to call from a different territory, you know,
Yeah, we've encouraged our haulers to go out, be missionaries, and a lot of them
okay.
are interested.
Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the public?
Motion to close public portion?
Second? I'll second. Move to second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Motion to go into closed session?
Oh, that's right,
We do have
forgot about that one. We have a personnel matter. Yes, yeah, go to closed session. So motion to the closed session, have a second to that? Have a second? No. Move second, all in favor? And the reason for going into closed session is for personnel matters, is that sufficient?
Matters relating to personnel and attorney-client privilege pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12B8.
That's part of the resolution.
That's my motion.
Okay, acceptance been moved and seconded, all those in
Let's just
favor?
adopt the resolution, that's what we really need to do, is
Yeah,
adopt the
adopt this
resolution.
resolution.
Yeah, that's what we just
Okay.
did. We're adopting that resolution,
That's
which
my
states it in there, right, okay. We adopted that resolution, moved and seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Notice to the public that we will come out of public, or private
Closed session.
closed session. We will go back into open session, at least for a minute. And do we anticipate doing any public activity?
There will be one action that I will be asking.
And there will be an action after this closed
So if
session.
you wanna hang around, we'll call you back in when we're done.
If not, sayonara.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.